A wave of mortgage renewals into higher interest rates was supposed to crash the Canadian real estate market in 2024. Let's take a look back and see what actually happened. Hey there, welcome back to Prairie Real Estate. My name is 𝗵𝗲𝗿𝗄, real estate agent in Regina, Saskatchewan, and that's my trusted assistant, 𝗵𝗲𝗿𝗄𝗍. This is the monthly Canadian real estate market update, first one for 2025, and that means we can look back on 2024 and see what happened. And what a year 2024 was. Toronto having one of the worst years they've ever had, and home prices continuing to decline. And on the other side, you've got some Canadian cities that saw record sales, most number of homes ever sold in a year, and home prices up 6, 7, 8% in just one single year. I'm going to do this month's market update just a little bit differently because we're going to look back on what happened through the entire course of the year in all of these individual cities. If you want to skip directly to them, you can just jump in the timeline below. I also have my 2025 forecast video coming out very shortly, so make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss that video when it comes out. But of course, we had to start off with another one of my terrible bad dad jokes. I recently learned that Ireland has one of the fastest growing populations in the world. Its capital is Dublin. If you have a terrible joke I can use in a future episode, put it in the comments below. Let's get into this month's Canadian real estate market update. With about 6,900 homes sold in the Victoria real estate market in 2024, it's still one of the slowest years they've had recently, with only 2022 and 2023 seeing fewer sales, but it is trending up right now. New listings is what I find really interesting in the Victoria real estate market. Year after year after year, they see about 12,500 new listings every single year. Good market, bad market, up, down, it's about the same, which is why 2024 really stands out as an outlier with 14,500 new listings in the year. Because of how consistent the number of new listings that come onto the Victoria real estate market is year after year, the only thing that impacts the number of active listings is of course sales. See a strong year sales, active listings come down. See a weak year sales like we saw this past year, and number of active listings goes up. We're starting 2025 with about 2,300 active listings. The typical is around 1,500. The composite benchmark price in Victoria is up 2% year over year, but interestingly enough, every single month when you looked at it, the benchmark price was basically within about 1 to 2% of where it was last year. There's approximately 26,500 homes sold in 2024 in Vancouver. That's down 11% from the rolling 5-year average. It is up just slightly from 2023. Interestingly enough, 2018, 2019, and of course 2023 all saw fewer sales than in 2024, and there's been a noticeable pickup in sales activity since October. There were 58,700-ish homes that were newly listed for sale in the Vancouver real estate market through the course of 2024. There was, of course, a lot of talk of the distressed sellers being forced to sell their homes as interest rates climbed, and that impacted them. We never really saw that in Vancouver. That ended the year only up about 6% from the 5-year rolling average. And agents are telling me a sizable number of quote-unquote new listings were actually properties that had failed to sell multiple times and were relisted as a new listing. There is just under 11,000 homes for sale to start 2025, and that is up 42%. So on paper, it looks like buyers have a lot of opportunity, but agents are telling me that this continues to be a problem in Vancouver, where a good number of these listings aren't really that good, overpriced or don't present well. They're still seeing a lot of competition amongst buyers for listings that do show well and are priced well. You've heard me say this a lot before, and it seems to be continuing. Then we get to home prices in Vancouver at $1.17 million. They're essentially unchanged year over year, actually just slightly higher than the previous year. We also saw the last 3 months that prices essentially didn't change at all. I thought in the fall that we might see home prices end 2024 below where they ended 2023, and that just didn't happen. Typically though, January, February is when you start to see home prices tick back up in Vancouver. So we'll have to see if that happens this year again. There's over 27,000 homes sold last year in Calgary, third most all time. Number 2, 28,000 in 2021, and number 1, 29,000 in 2022. So yes, the Calgary real estate market isn't as crazy busy as those last few years, and it does appear that it's slowing down, but it's still a very busy market. Compared to 2023, it looks like we saw a huge number of new listings come to market in 2024, but that's a little bit misleading because in 2023, there was actually a little bit of a shortage of new listings in Calgary. If you compare it to 2021 or 2022, both those years actually saw more new listings. That being said, we're still seeing better choice and better availability of new listings for buyers right now in Calgary. And in the back half in 2024, we finally saw that level of inventory start to creep up a little bit. Still not where it needs to be for a balanced market. And we are actually starting 2025 down just a little bit, but I'm hoping we will get back to more balanced territory in Calgary if new listings continue to be kind of at the levels they were previously last year. The talk for the last couple of years in the Calgary real estate market has been how much home prices have increased. They're up 32% since the pandemic, up 2% year over year, but actually they dropped back from their all-time highs earlier this year, about 4% to where they are now. That is typical though, as we do see a lot of seasonality in the Calgary real estate market where the prices are going up or going down. We see that kind of ebb and flow throughout the year. I do expect if we hit the spring market in the Calgary real estate market, prices will probably start trending back up overall in that benchmark price. With over 28,000 homes sold in the year, that makes this the most homes ever sold for a single year in Edmonton. It beats out the next best year, which was 25,000 homes sold in 2021. It's also up 36% versus the 5-year rolling average, including that record-setting 2021 year. No doubt about it right now, Edmonton real estate market is red hot. Part of what allowed that record-setting number of homes to be sold was new listings. That continued to be elevated versus the 5-year average, ending the year up 6% year over year. But because home sales continue to easily outpace new listings, even though elevated, active inventory continued to decline through the year. And starting out right now in 2025, there's about 3,500 homes for sale in Edmonton. This is the fewest I've ever seen to start a year in a very long time in Edmonton. And if we get the typical spring rush of buyers, not a lot of new inventory coming to the market, that's going to drive active inventory down and push prices up. 1 month doesn't make a trend, but it's very unusual to see month over month price increases at the end of the year in the Edmonton real estate market, which we saw last month. They saw the year end up 8% year over year, meaning the Edmonton real estate market saw some of the largest year over year price increases for any Canadian real estate market in Canada. Even with chronically low inventory all year long, Regina saw 3,900 homes sold in the year, the most ever for a year in Regina. The next best year, 2021, 3,700 homes sold that year, with nearly double the inventory. With a little under 5,000 homes newly listed for sale throughout the entire year, it wasn't like people didn't put their homes up for sale. That's only down about 6% through the course of an entire year. But over the course of the year, the sales and listing ratio was 80%. That's a very strong seller's market. A year ago, I was really worried about the lack of inventory going into the spring market and how difficult that was going to make it for buyers. This year, I'm terrified. Right now, there's less than 400 homes for sale. This is by far the fewest number of homes I've ever seen any month in Regina, and it's likely not going to get much better. Typically, listings do increase in the spring market, but we're starting so low. If we have a repeat of what we had last year, where inventory never really picked up at all and never got above 700, it's going to continue to be a very challenging market for home buyers in Regina. Let's wrap up this Regina segment talking about home prices. The benchmark price is up about 5% year over year, or around $15,000. But as with any metric, whether it's average price, median price, benchmark price, the numbers can be deceiving. Here's what the benchmark price was just for the month of December as an example. 2024, 313,000. 2023, 297,000. 22, 312,000. 2021, 312,000. And 2020, 299,000. If you just looked at those numbers alone, you'd say, okay, if you bought a house in 21 or 22, you'd have seen essentially no appreciation in that time. Yet I had houses I sold just the last month that were both bought in 21 and 22 that sold for about 15% more than what they were purchased for back in 21 and 22. I've also seen homes selling for less money, so everyone is individual. That's why looking at just say the average price or benchmark price and saying, okay, that's up or down X percentage means the house prices that I'm going to look at and hopefully buy are up or down by that set percent isn't a good metric to look at in isolation. Maybe the home was purchased overvalued back a few years ago or undervalued. That's going to skew that significantly. Even a year where Saskatoon saw historically low levels of inventory, they had over 5,000 homes sell in the year. That's second best all time and up 25% versus the 5-year average, which includes that best year of all time. Unfortunately, for home buyers in Saskatoon, new listings just never really kept up. They were down 5% in 2024. I'm hoping when we get into 2025, when the spring market, we will see a little bit more inventory come to the market. but it's a long ways to go to get back to even normal levels right now. 416, no, I'm not referring to the Toronto area code. That's the number of homes that are for sale right now in Saskatoon, down at near historic levels. I've never seen anything like this before in Saskatoon. Typically, you're gonna have about 1,000 houses for sale right now. So unless we see some surge of new listing or buyers just completely decide to stop buying houses in Saskatoon, which I don't think is gonna happen, it's likely going to be a very challenging spring market for home buyers as they compete over the few good listings that do come to market, and the ones that are there are probably going to be selling over asking price at the rate we're going right now. Speaking of prices, they're up 6% year over year, one of the highest year over year increases for the composite benchmark price in the entire country last year. And I expect that is going to be a trend we will see repeated in 2025. With 14,600 homes sold through the course of the entire year, 2024 was actually the third busiest year ever in Winnipeg's history, trailing only the 14,700 sold in 2022 and the 18,600 sold in 2021. The back 6 months of the year was especially busy in the Winnipeg real estate market for home sales. There's approximately 22,800 homes new lists for sale throughout the course of the entire year in Winnipeg. That is up 1%, or in other words, essentially normal. And much like many other Prairie Canadian cities, we didn't see a wave of distressed sellers because of higher interest rates being forced to put their homes up for sale. And to start 2025, there's about 2,400 homes currently for sale in Winnipeg. That is down 10% and the fewest number of homes for sale since the start of 2022. If we continue to see active inventory at low levels like this, it's going to drive competition amongst buyers in Winnipeg. Home prices in Winnipeg ended the year up 8% year over year. They peaked out in June and then essentially stayed flat for the remainder of the year. Typically, there's a little bit of a fall off that happens near the end of the year. And I think with kind of how things are shaping up right now, we might be talking about Winnipeg as one of Canada's hottest real estate markets in 2025. In 2024, there were 68,000 homes sold in Toronto. That is the second slowest year of home sales in like the last 15 years, with only 2023 being slower, where they had 66,000 homes sold. Now, there was quite an uptick in activity in both October and November, leading people to believe that maybe, there was a buyer surge coming back to the market. And then December was very slow. So could be just a 1 month thing. We'll have to wait and see. There's 164,000 homes newly listed for sale last year in Toronto. That is up 7%. Interestingly enough, both 2021, where they had 166,000 homes listed for sale, and 2017, where they had 184,000 new listings there, both saw more listings that year. So it's not like we haven't seen this number of new listings in Toronto in recent memory. Now, I know a lot of people were saying going into 2024 how we're going to see this surge of listings that was going to hit the market because of all these distressed sellers. Well, only up 7% really doesn't seem like a surge of new listings to me, and not a big wave when it's not even the most new listings in the last 8 years or so. And a large number of the quote unquote new listings was actually listings that were canceled and relisted. I believe this year saw the most cancels and relistings ever in the history of Toronto. Everyone's talking about AI right now, and I'm not talking artificial intelligence, active inventory. There's 15,400 homes currently for sale in Toronto to start 2025. That is up 91%. And that number sounds really big until you go back and look at my last month's video where active inventory was up 191%. So clearly, as we just talked about, it's not because of the surge of new listings coming to market that's driving up active inventory. It's the lack of sales right now that's keeping active inventory as high as it is. Until we see a jump in sales activity, active inventory is going to continue to remain high. So buyers do have more choice on paper, but a large part of this active inventory is those crappy dog crate condos and not single family homes that you actually want to buy and live in. You've heard it before. 1 month doesn't make a trend. When it's 2 months, I start paying attention, and 3 to 4 months in a row, now I'm going to call it a trend. What am I talking about here? Benchmark price. 2 months in a row, benchmark price went up, although really small amount, $1,500. Yes, in the last 2 months, it's gone up $1,500, but that usually doesn't happen in November and December. So that's why I'm paying attention to it, to see what happens going into 2025. It's a little bit of an outlier right now. Could this be maybe the best time to buy a house in Ottawa in recent memory? Let's take a look. Through the course of 2024, there was a little over 13,000 homes sold in Ottawa. That is down 12%. It is up from the 2023 numbers where they had about 12,000 homes sell, and similar to 2022 where they also had about 13,000 homes sell in the year. It is well down though of the 16 to 17,000 homes that were selling per year in 2019, 2020, and 2021. There was 23,500 homes newly listed for sale through the course of the entire year in Ottawa. That's up 10%. The Ottawa real estate market has been really consistent for basically a decade, having about 22,000 new listings each and every single year. So this new added inventory was good for home buyers, providing them with a little more choice than they've had recently. Speaking of choice, there's right now 3,200 homes for sale in Ottawa. That's up 155%. This number is skewed quite badly though. Just a couple of years ago, they started the year with less than 600 homes for sale. But they are starting to see home prices increase in Ottawa, not only month over month, but the composite benchmark price currently $645,000 is up 4% year over year, nearly identical to the spring high of $651,000. So seeing a month over month increase in December, not typical in Ottawa. The 44,000 homes sold last year in Montreal is down 9% versus the 5-year rolling average, but it is up significantly from 2023, where they had about 36,000 homes sold. That's also more than actually sold in 2022. More in line this year with what we saw in 2017 and 2018 for home sales. The 68,000 homes newly listed for sale is up 5%, but it's actually really close to their average. Usually about 67,000 homes are new listed for sale through the course of the entire year. Only 2023 was an outlier where they had 61,000 homes new listed for sale in the year. The 14,700 homes for sale right now in Montreal is up 11%, but I've talked about it many times before. This 5-year rolling average really skewed by the 2020, 21, 22 numbers. You go back before that and there was often 15, 20, 25,000 homes for sale on any given month in Montreal. So 14,000 actually is a little bit low. It's down from 2023 where there was about 16,000 homes for sale same time of year. Months of inventory continues to be kind of trending down a little bit, peaked out at 5.8. Right now it's at 4.4. So kind of trending back towards the middle of a balance market from the high end where it was almost up to a buyer's market. Looking at home prices in Montreal, currently benchmark price about $540,000 is up 6% year over year. There isn't much of a change essentially since the spring market prices got up to about $540,000, little fluctuation here and there, but not really much change since then. A little bit of a fall off right now because it's the winter, but I'm actually surprised at how little home prices have changed through the course of the year in Montreal. I still think that in 2025, Montreal is kind of going to go under the radar as one of the hotter real estate markets in Canada, not really getting talked about as much. So watching this video, you guys are in the loop. Looking at the Halifax real estate market over the last couple of years, there's been some absolutely wild swings. There was just under 5,000 homes sold through the course of the year in Halifax in 2024. That is up from 2023's 4,500 and similar to 2022's 5,000 homes sold. But the average that I've got here is actually really badly skewed by the over 8,000 homes that sold in 2020 and 2021. They also had about 6,400 homes that were newly listed for sale in the entire year. That's down 14%. It is also up from the 2023 numbers that had about 5,800 listed for sale that year. It pales in comparison. There was over 9,000 homes listed for sale in 2020 and 2021 in Halifax. Active inventory is where the numbers get really wild in Halifax. Currently, 755 homes for sale, down 12%, basically identical to where they started last year. But then the numbers start to get a little bit funky from here. In 2018, they started the year with almost 2,800 active listings. And then fast forward to 2022, they had 170 active listings to start the year. Home prices also continue to increase. Currently, the average price, $578,000. That's up 3% year over year. It's up $100,000 or about 19% from 2021 and up over $200,000 or 45% from 2020. That wraps up the 2024 Canadian real estate market. Again, don't forget that predictions video is coming out soon. Here is my first weekly news recap for 2025. As always, if you like this video, please give it a like and thanks very much for watching.